This episode of the Zuloo Podcast is sponsored by Zuloo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at zuloo.com.
How can we take this Zuloo concept and do more with it? And so it's been fun over the years to just get educated. Darren really brought the light to me. And at first I was kind of like, wow, cool. This guy's got a real cool vision. Yeah. Good luck. I'll help you, but I don't know. But then,
the bathroom's down the hall, buddy.
Yeah. But then,
see you later.
But then he kept on creating cool swag, and I'm like, all right. And I started wearing it, and I'm like, what? This is amazing. No, but I actually read
this T-shirt is awesome.
I love poop emojis.
Welcome to the Zuloo Podcast, where we talk all things poop, toilets, and sanitation. Through insightful news, impact stories, and quirky humour, we aim to discuss and highlight the critical role toilets play in whisking poop out of our lives, the impact toilets have, or lack thereof, in the health and wellness of humanity, and what Zuloo is doing to help solve the current global sanitation crisis.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Zuloo Podcast. We are so excited to have you on for this episode, listening, chiming in, sharing in the laughter, sharing in the joy of spreading the good news. We've got a super special guest today, our co-founder, Chris Padilla. So we're super excited to get to know Chris a little bit more and dig into why he does Zuloo. And
Chris is in the house.
Chris is in the house. I'm very excited to have him here.
Thank you for letting me join the podcast, the Poo-cast.
That's right. Poo-cast, yeah.
We know you've been stuck in London and Spain
and all over the
crazy
world.
Places. You came from Spain right before Christmas, right? You were in Spain?
Yeah, it was good. Nice flushing toilets in Spain. Yeah.
See,
how do they compare to London toilets? That's what we really want to know.
I actually sent Darren a picture of the best toilet that I've seen.
Really?
It's at a building in London where you're on like the 40th floor, men's bathroom, urinal.
Nice. Looking
straight out the glass. And the urinal's up against the glass and you're like looking out at the city below you.
That does sound wonderful.
I would say London, out of all the places I've been, has the most opulent bathrooms.
Wow.
And so if we want to go get, content for like bathrooms that are just like the opposite of what we deal with, London has it.
Okay.
I actually sent another I sent another one to my family. There was this bathroom that I walked into. They had a bathroom attendant who was folding towels there.
Wow. High class.
You walk in and the bathroom has stained glass all over with light coming in on it.
Oh my
and I was
gosh.
just like, I feel like I'm in church going to the bathroom. So I think there's definitely a contrast between bathrooms in London versus the places where we go do Zuloo.
Archbishop of Canterbury's toilets, probably pretty opulent. Imagine.
Yeah. I
Totally
actually think we should do a toilet tour of opulent bathrooms sometime, just to kind of show the contrast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, England is sort of like that's where the renaissance of the flushable toilet, started.
It absolutely is.
My understanding. We could do a whole podcast on
we should.
British loo history.
Yeah, did a little Instagram post, in fact, just a few weeks ago about like the beginnings of flushable toilets. Huh? Fun fact, took like 12 gallons of water just to flush the toilet once. But 20 people could use the same toilet between flushes. So there's trade-off,
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if I didn't want to go to London before, I definitely want to go to London now. Although using the urinal would be a little difficult for me.
Yeah.
I could give it a shot.
They have female urinals now. I've seen them. It's kind of like space, like Star Trek.
Oh, nice.
It could become a thing.
Yeah, we could go back to that same restaurant and see if they have a similar. I didn't go into the women's bathroom, but I'm sure that
Why not?
Yeah.
That is your commitment to Zuloo, Chris. Check them all out.
Yeah.
Chris is wearing a dress, going undercover.
Yeah,
with his phone.
Not my style, but that's cool.
Love it. Cool. Well, we'll come over to Darren for some poo news in this segment, and then Chris will come back to you in just a sec.
Cool. Speaking of London, of course, the BBC is the ultimate authority over there when it comes to news. And so I think you found this, Kelsey, this BBC clip.
Yeah.
It was actually published on World Toilet Day, which was November 19 of last year. And the reason why I liked it is because, and the clip is probably 20 minutes long. We're not going to play the whole thing. We're going to play just a few minutes of it.
Yeah.
But I liked it because it kind of gave a good overview. In fact, they interviewed Jack Sim, who's our superhero,
Yeah.
On one of our other podcasts, we interviewed him. But I just wanted to play it, and then we can talk about it.
Cool.
This is the BBC, Why Toilets Matter.
If that's a sound that happens in your home multiple times a day, then you are among the lucky half of the world who has access to a properly working toilet.
20 years ago, when we first started the World Toilet Organization, there were no media coverage about sanitation. My name is Jack Sim. I'm the founder of the World Toilet Organization with the acronym of WTO. And it plays a pun on the World Trade Organization and got the attention of the global media. They were, at that time, so uncomfortable to talk about toilets, poop, pee, sanitation. So we put it on center stage, and the media loves our unique blend of humor and serious facts.
While the media might well love it, 20 years on from the planet's first World Toilet Day, toilets, and everything we as humans do with one, are still taboo subjects across much of the globe.
I'm calling for everybody to talk about toilets, sanitation, hygiene, and public health as if it is a normal subject from drinking and eating, because what goes in does come out. And the sanitation agenda competes against a lot of other agendas like climate change, like COVID. It also competes with Kim Kardashian's lunch and football and movies. So what we think is every agenda should be accorded its attention and not just only talk about climate change and COVID and the ones that are well funded. So what we need is ultimately to make toilets a normal subject. And the more we talk about something, the more it becomes better. And I hope one day everyone will have access to a clean, safe toilet anytime they need it.
The issue of sanitation has been thrown into the spotlight since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. The value of hand washing has reached almost every corner of the globe. But without safe toilets, everyone's health is threatened. Human waste contaminates our drinking water, the rivers, the beaches, and our food crops, spreading deadly diseases.
Okay. Well, I think... First of all, that just touched on a couple of topics that Mr. Toilet brought up in our interview, things like it's a basic human right. And we need to just get the word out there, right? Make it as normal to talk about toilets or the lack thereof as it is to like a picture of Kim Kardashian's lunch. I mean, I'd like to see Kim Kardashian's toilet. Maybe she can snap a photo.
That would be sweet. I mean, it's like...
It's probably a high-class toilet. I mean, it's gold throne.
Probably like the ones you're accustomed to, Chris. So.
Yeah, I think Kim's probably got a really wide seat too.
Yeah. True. Yeah, extra double wide.
Yeah.
No, I like that clip. I like that overview because it does get eclipsed by so many other issues, and they're all worthy,
for sure,
newsworthy issues to talk about. Climate change, COVID, obviously, but it does, toilets does tend to take a back seat, a number 2 position always when it comes to other issues. And I think that, it speaks to, obviously our culture, but I think that's slowly changing. It seems to be changing. Somewhat.
Yeah, I think that it comes down to who's being affected by what problems.
Right.
And if you look at all of the news and stories that are out there, there's so much that, there's a mix of what you have to pay attention to and what you want to pay attention to.
Right.
And I think part of what we're trying to do is kind of help raise awareness to a problem that doesn't necessarily affect us.
Yeah.
In a way that allows us to be able to kind of make it more consumable, right?
For
and I
sure.
think you're right, Darren. Like we noticed when we kind of got going was like there's like a shift, a trend, a transformation in a space that really hasn't been talked about for so long, which is the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
So when we started this, we were looking at like all these different products that were innovating. Like the last place in the home where innovation was taking place was in the bathroom. And so you have all these really cool companies coming out with fun stories using humor to open the door to kind of a tough topic, right? Squatty Potty, which was a story of a company that had a product that had been out for years, but then had to switch the way that it was telling its story, right? Originally, it was like, hey, we've got this medical device that's going to help you prevent colon cancer.
I didn't even know that. That's so interesting. I didn't know that about Squatty Potty.
Yeah. And then at the end of the day, they're like, we need to switch this up.
We're pooping rainbows.
Right. So they're like, we need to make this more
That's
fun.
That's more fun than
more
colon
fun.
cancer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So then all of a sudden, it's all about how you tell the story. It's all about how you, and so then this wave of like telling stories like that switched. So it opened up these products that had been dormant for a while. And so then, we as, Darren and I were like, hey, let's find a way to raise awareness through them. And so we did a bunch of cool stuff. And I think you're right. There's this wave of innovation that's happened in the bathroom that's allowed us to be able to talk about these things. It'd be fun maybe sometime to have the Harmon brothers, who were the guys behind Squatty Potty's success in getting their story out, as well as Poopery, who was another company that we talked with as well.
Yeah, they're great storytellers. Yep.
But
you're just right. Like bringing it to the forefront, right? I'm thinking of like sort of just thinking back to the like birth of my consciousness of some of these bathroom products, because for so long it's like, oh yeah, well that's the like, that's the door you like reluctantly show your friends when they come over to your house. Like, if you have to use this, it's here for you.
Right.
But we don't hang out in here. And I'm just thinking, wow, the awareness that Squatty Potty brought, right? The fun that it brought, or that Poopery did. I remember one Christmas as like a stocking stuffer. I think my mom got my brother and I these like tiny little discreet bathroom sprays. And I remember being like, I don't even fully understand what this is like for. Like, who is Poopery, Right. But it started that conversation in our family of the bathroom, really, and sort of deconstructing, I think, the shame that a lot of us still feel around this fact that, like, everybody poops, right? Everybody has to use the bathroom. Yeah. Sometimes it's very urgently, just like we heard in a past episode with Sharon. And sometimes it's, just a regular old thing. But knowing how to talk about it and feeling comfortable with it is so important. And that's one thing that we hope to do with the Zuloo podcast, is to make it a more normal subject and a more common subject too, right? Not just one that you like whisper about or keep under the blankets, but one that we can like be proud to sponsor and talk about.
Well, I think sharing some of the stories, like some of our other episodes, we talk about some of the impact the lack of a toilet has in their lives.
Right.
We tend to focus on India a lot as because there is open defecation still a big issue there, and not only because of poverty, but also culturally as well. So they've done surveys where they have a toilet, they have access to a toilet, but yet they would like, oh, it's kind of my way of connecting with nature, so I'm going to go out and do it and sort of like get back to your natural roots sort of thing. Yeah. And then they realize, oh, well, no, look, where you're going and where your neighbor's drawing their drinking water supply is like within yards of each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, now they can see that could be a problem, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, bringing awareness to that. But yeah, not just places like that. I mean, Chris, remember going to Puerto Rico a few years ago, and, Puerto Rico is a place where, it's very much a modern American
Some places, yes.
city. Yeah. But yeah, you think, oh, well, of course, they probably all have toilets there. But, we're coming across remote villages up in the hills where, Hurricane Maria wiped out everything. And, because of, the economic struggles that Puerto Rico has had and lack of resources, people are no toilets still.
Yeah.
I mean, that was...
They're back to square one.
Yeah, back to square one.
Yeah.
And which is kind of hard to imagine. Okay, surely every American state and territory everybody's got a toilet, but that's not the case.
Not the case.
So
not the case.
So it's like you and I are looking at, COVID hit, and before COVID we had trips that we were doing. We were going to India, and we were thinking about, okay, where else can we help? And we didn't really think about it until we were there and searching for opportunities and found that there were folks nearby. And looking at Maria, it opened our mind to not just folks who live this constantly, but people who are affected by events, earthquakes,
natural disasters,
hurricanes,
right?
Like
those tornadoes that just rip through Central America.
They end up being displaced, and then you're like, hold on a sec, like, where do they go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
And then I think, we drove through a town that was hit by an earthquake, and you saw all these homes that were condemned and cracks in the walls, but there were folks who maybe didn't have the resource to go move to another state, or
their lives
couldn't,
there.
They couldn't sell their home.
Yeah.
And we would see tents in the back, and we're like, well, where do these guys go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's really like one of the questions is like where do you go to the bathroom? And so, Darren first came to me at my office, I don't know, it was probably 2010, thinking, talking about the idea of creating a product that had to do with the bathroom. I'm like, dude, why is this guy talking about the bathroom all the time? He's got this weird.
Do you have to go to the bathroom?
He's got this,
I think I had to go to the bathroom.
He drinks a lot of water, so he's constantly in the bathroom.
Right.
And so we end up, I'm like, who is this guy? And so then we end up like having a good time talking about like bathroom products. And my background is in marketing. I've done some cool projects that have had some success going viral. And Darren and I were thinking, like, how can we take this Zuloo concept and do more with it? And so it's been fun over the years to just get educated. Darren really brought the light to me. And at first I was kind of like, wow, cool. This guy's got a real cool vision.
Yeah.
Good luck, I'll help you, but I don't know. But then,
the bathroom's down the hall, buddy.
Yeah. But then,
see you later.
But then he kept on creating cool swag, and I'm like, all right. And I started wearing it, and I'm like, what? This is amazing. No, but I actually read
this T-shirt is awesome.
I love poop emojis, and so he ends up kind of educating me on kind of how big this problem is.
Yeah.
And I've been involved in other initiatives. I helped a couple folks in Europe with children's initiatives, helping them launch their brands for protecting children online and helping them avoid sex trafficking, things like that. Yeah. And I got really involved in like, how can I do more of things like that? And so then I looked into more of what Darren had shared with me about how a lot of these women and children who go to the bathroom leave themselves open to predators.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, I want to see what else I can do to help.
Yeah.
And so that's when Darren and I were like, hey, let's go do this. And so we took a trip to India, and there's one photo on our Instagram that like really, really kind of tells the reason of like why I'm really like passionate about this. We were there, and we donated money, and we'd receive donations from foundations because as we started educating folks about how big the problem was. People just don't know
Yeah.
that it's millions of children. It's not millions of people. It's not millions of 80 or 70-year-old people who live their lives. It's millions of children who die every year.
Yeah, it's this article we listened to, it's like every 2 minutes, some child dies of a diarrhea-related disease. It was preventable. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but you're looking at like stats. Like right now, everyone's used to stats because of COVID.
Right.
And if you heard the same stats relayed about diarrhea, you'd be like, what? Hold on a sec. Kids are dying from diarrhea, but it's because it's not here. It's not affecting us.
Yeah.
It's not affecting grandma.
Right.
And so we were there and Darren, we organized this trip and we're like, we're going to go do this. And we met, I don't know how I can share this, but it's a photo on our Instagram of all of these women in a community that we were putting toilets in. And Mira, who was our contact for an NGO that we partner with there, was translating for us. We were asking them questions. We were saying, hey, how many of you know someone who's been raped or someone or who've been hurt while going to the bathroom?
Yeah.
And in this picture, you'll see every single one of these women. And so that's when it went from like, oh, this is kind of like, it went from being like a cool thing we were doing to being like, we have to do this.
Yeah.
And so for me, since then, thinking of fun ways or ways to help tell these stories.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited for when we have Mira on, because she's on the ground. She's got a community of women who are just helping every day these families. One of the families that we helped, and one of the ways that we identify who we're going to help is because we look at how many women are in the home, how many daughters are there, and how many can we help protect.
Right.
And so when we're looking at like the poo stories and all of that, it's really, awesome, because at the end of the day, it doesn't take much.
Yeah.
And that's what Darren and I have realized. Like as we grow, you're looking at giving a bathroom to someone for hundreds of dollars, maybe.
Yeah.
You're looking at, for a few hundred more, giving thousands of people access to clean water.
Yeah.
And so when Darren educated me saying, read these books, I realized, there's all these water initiatives out there.
Yeah.
But you're giving people water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't have a place to go to the bathroom. So they can have clean water, but if they don't have a good place to go to the bathroom, it defeats the purpose.
Right.
So Zuloo, when we started thinking about what we could do to actually help in like a true way.
Yeah. And in a novel way, especially, right? This is very niche.
Is you have to have the bathroom and the water.
Yeah.
You can't just have the water.
Right.
And so that's really what we focused on, because there's so many needs out there. Our focus has been, okay, bathroom and water. And so it's really helped us. And we've been able to identify places in Puerto Rico who need water and bathrooms, in India.
Yeah.
And so, and we'll have more that we're going to be doing here soon.
Hoping to go to South America.
Yeah.
Soon-ish, right? And do a trip.
Yeah, this year we're going to go down
Yeah.
and do a trip there. So I don't know.
Yeah, I remember that moment when all those ladies raised their hands, and I remember you turned to me and said, now I get it.
Right.
Now we've got to do more.
Right.
You said that to me, and I was like, it was hard to not be sort of moved by that whole,
For sure.
just, you're there, and it wasn't like a movie, it was real,
Right.
and it's just, my heart kind of goes out to, and I know they're fine. Mira's obviously there on the ground, but we made promises, because like so many groups, they said, they kept saying, are you guys going to come back?
Yeah.
Because so many, they came and then they just never came back,
Right.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh yeah, we're coming back. Absolutely. And then pandemic, what? We can't, we can't
hit
get
just
there.
a few months later.
We can't get there, and so we're so really blessed with the technology to keep in touch with Mira and her organization, and continue, and even within like Hyderabad there, they were restricted from even moving around the city.
Right.
So even she couldn't get into the slum areas because of restrictions, but that's obviously changing, and and so we're super optimistic.
And I think what's cool is we've been able to communicate with them. So even though we couldn't go, we were still able to send relief and
still
help.
building toilets, still
Yeah,
building wells.
we just finished a few wells and a few, well, not us, but Mira's team. Yeah, just in December, we completed building.
Yeah.
I don't know that we have the solid numbers on it, but a few toilets and wells out there. And so it's amazing just with technology, how we're able to communicate, right, this message to all of our listeners and to raise awareness, but then to also continue even amongst restrictions, lockdowns, global pandemics, continuing to improve lives of people around the world. I mean, that's a powerful and amazing thing. And
it's something that you don't think about. When I came home from that trip, I was telling some of the stories of folks that we met who'd received toilets from previous times, and we asked them. We said, "Hey, how has your life changed now that you have a toilet?" And they responded like, "I don't even remember now what it was like not having one, because it's just became a normal part of their lives."
Yeah. Right.
They're able to now focus on school. They're able to now focus on other things. Whereas
gaining income for their families.
Whereas before,
right.
they actually were just thinking about where and when they could go to the bathroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it actually takes control of their lives. And so when we look at like what we're doing, we feel like we're actually giving freedom to people, and we're giving them opportunity just by solving like this basic need.
Yeah.
And so Zuloo's got a lot of cool stories to tell, and I'm excited that we're doing the podcast and telling some more of these stories.
I even think of like often with our projects that we're doing and just the important impacts that installing a toilet can have. I mean, I think about the potential of so many individuals out in the world and what they could achieve if only these basic rights were taken care of, right? If they had enough food, if they had a toilet. And I think, wow, what if that person who can cure cancer is out there, but they just don't have a toilet, and so they're unable to go to school and sort of cultivate that knowledge, that intelligence, and what a tragedy that is when it is such a small thing that we can help to give other people. I mean, a few dollars out of our pocket, right? It really goes a long, long way and could have really massive impacts. We may not see those. We may not know for sure until perhaps we have somebody on the podcast that says, because I had a toilet, I could achieve this great thing. I got the Nobel Prize or whatever.
Right.
Those are high aspirations, but it does make me just think about the potential that every human has and how we can contribute to unlocking that potential by taking care of one another.
Well, they do show that the toilet has twice the health benefit.
Yeah.
2 times the health benefit that clean water does. But clean water initiatives get 8 times the amount of money when it comes to government budgets, when it comes to philanthropy. 8 times the amount that a toilet does, which you think, oh, why is that the case? When a toilet has demonstrably twice the health benefit.
Right.
Well,
it's just lopsided.
Well,
right?
part of the reason is like you spent
and
time.
People don't like to talk about toilets. That's not as sexy, right?
And it's also doesn't cost as much money. Right. So when you're looking at like you went and you visited some of the Gates Foundation's recipients, and you were looking at some of the toilet technologies that they were trying to build, and the cost
super expensive.
The cost to build a toilet is thousands.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you're looking at how do you actually effectively help, money plays a role.
Right.
And so one of the reasons that we've been able to be so cost effective in some of these places are because we've partnered with groups that use efficient toilets that
cost efficient toilets.
Very low tech, but super efficient.
High efficiency.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it, right? But you're right.
The toilet's not going to sing to you and dry your bum for you, but
but it will provide you protection from these sort of sexploitation. Yeah.
Right. And so, what's interesting is you start diving into the topic of just toilets, you start realizing all of the different variables. And what's interesting is when you go and you actually meet these folks and it becomes real,
Yeah.
And I think that's part of like when we're looking at Puerto Rico, like it's a U.S. territory. You know, there's a Home Depot and a Costco. You can go to get a Costco dog there, right? But a disaster hits, and all of a sudden there are folks that don't have access, and so it really is everywhere.
Right. True.
And so, you know,
we're not that far away. I remember taking a tour of the wastewater treatment plant here in Provo.
Yeah. I was with you.
I think you were with me.
Yeah.
And we, and they showed us the facilities and all, and all the systems, and I was like, well, what happens if you lost power in the case of a earthquake or something like that? And they're like, oh yeah, we've got these generators right over here. They'll just cut on automatically. And I'm like, well, what's running these generators? Well, we've got these fuel tanks here. And I'm like, well, how long can those run? And they're like, oh, about 3 days.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what happens if you don't refuel them? I'm like, well, they'll stop running, and
right.
And then everything starts backing up. And unfortunately, the people that are closest to the wastewater treatment plant
get back up.
Everybody uphill is going to keep sending material downstream. And they admitted, they said, if we couldn't get fuel into these, within 3 days, we're in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you can see how, if you had a big earthquake, God forbid, you could find yourself in, a third world situation really quick, right?
Yeah.
Without a lot of imagination, So anyway, we're just one flesh removed,
right? But it's amazing. It's amazing how But most of the time we flush and forget about it, and we don't think about it. We don't have to worry about it. Someone else is taking care of the problem.
Right. Yeah.
We pay taxes, and someone else has a whole treatment center plant. I remember that. It reminds me, we were talking about things that get flushed.
Yeah.
And he's like,
oh man,
it's like, it's a place there where they see everything that gets flushed.
Yeah.
We don't think about it, but they see it,
Yeah, for sure.
And there was this, London news back, I don't know, a couple of years ago. It was the 40 ton.
It was wet wipes, right?
Berg of like wet wipes and oil and that.
Just a big berg.
A big berg of everything. Wipes were part of it.
Yeah.
So when Darren and I were first getting this started, I was helping a friend of mine market his wipes and what was it? The cream you put on toilet paper.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was like, they came out about that time.
Yeah.
Like Darren and I were like, hey, maybe we could acquire some companies
right.
that could help us generate revenue to go towards helping solve this problem.
Yeah.
And that was one of the stories that came up, was this like big pooberg and how you shouldn't flush wipes. And then there's this mad like trend of flushable wipes and how it's normal now to actually use wipes. Back in the day, it's like, you use wipes in the bathroom. You're a dude. You're a baby. So now they actually have like dude wipes, right? Which is normal, right?
Yeah.
Like wiping with wipes is like cool if you don't have a bidet, right? I mean, obviously, if you've got a bidet, you don't need necessarily dude wipes,
right?
But yeah, it's like this whole toilet experience has changed. Where now here we've got,
heated
toilets, which in Asia they had they take their poo experience a little bit different.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Darren, I like going to the bathroom at Darren's house. He's got an awesome toilet.
I think you need, for the sake of our listeners, because we've alluded to it in previous episodes, but you've never fully given a description of the toilets at your home to our listeners. I think
do a tour.
We need a little bit of that.
Yeah, we recently did a renovation. We took an old townhome and we renovated it and we had to take out all the pipes and plumbing, and so we're putting in new plumbing, and it was like the very last thing on the agenda for the contractors. Like, we'll get a toilet for you, and I was like, no, I already got what I know.
The toilet I will get.
Do you know who you're talking to?
And they couldn't understand why you would want to spend some significant money on a toilet when you can go to Home Depot and get one for $100.
Right.
I'm like, oh, it's important.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go, like if I go to a hotel, and you could go to a really nice hotel, and then the toilet is like, it's a disappointment. You know, it's like I kind of miss my home. You know?
But tell us the features of your special toilets. That's what our listeners want to know.
You have to come visit. Or we'll do a whole other podcast. That'll take a whole podcast.
I think the fact the seat's warm is just really nice.
The seat's warm. You can there's some push buttons there. It's confusing. It's I don't know.
It's true. People always walk out and they're like, I wasn't sure what to do at first.
Yeah, they come out with a smile on their face or they're really concerned. Either way, one or the other. It's not.
Yeah, I think, when we look back at like the innovation that's happened, a lot of it's been around hygiene.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at these trends and people are like, how can we be more hygienic? How can we do some of those things? And I think that's really what we're talking about, is giving people good, clean access to hygiene that allows them to do, as you were saying earlier, do more. And so that's what I think we're hoping to do, is just how can we help people do more, live life better, and so I think it'll be fun to keep doing this.
We will. We'll give you a tour, listeners, of Darren's bathrooms, plural, because each one's so unique on our Instagram.
I think I did highlight it on my Instagram story. I think I know, but we need like a shot of it. We got a shot, but we need to you want me to demonstrate
toilet guide? Like, here's what the buttons mean.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
All right. Well,
it would just help certain people who go to your house frequently know and understand.
It's kind of like
what's going on in there.
It's kind of like the opposite of. It's like
it is true that people go there, and because I can't follow them in and show them how to do it. It's sort of like you say, "Okay, good luck."
Yeah,
they don't know what they're walking into.
We were on vacation, and one of the hotels had a bidet seat, but it also had it was built in. I was like, "Oh, this is cool." But my son likes to kind of prank people. So he turned the water to as hot as it could be and the pressure as high as it could be. And of course, the next person to go to the bathroom was Grandma.
Grandma, no.
There are pros and cons to having a really opulent bathroom, I think.
It's true.
It can come back
complicates your life a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Especially if Grandma's over to visit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wrap up. There is something that you can do, listeners, to help spread awareness. And that's, first and foremost, get educated for yourself. Send us your email and 2 friends' emails, and we will send you a copy of Rose George's book. Or if you want to take the road a little less traveled, send us just your email. We'll send you a toilet stress reliever. And that will hopefully inspire you to get a little bit more educated. Secondly, what you can do is share, subscribe to the podcast, then share, rate, review us, and follow us on our social media channels, all linked in the show notes below. And keep flushing. Send us your toilet stories. Be happy. Live life happy. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Zuloo Podcast. Follow us on social media at our links in the show notes below. To learn more, visit our website, zuloo.org. If you liked the podcast, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. For even more Zuloo fun, send us an email with your toilet stories to podcast@zuloo.com for a chance to be featured on the podcast. This episode of the Zuloo Podcast is sponsored by Zuloo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water, and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at zuloo.com.